Welcome to Living and Thriving with Rustie. I am Rustie, and it is an incredibly beautiful day out. We're preparing for storms. It's hurricane season, and so we have a nice tropical breeze coming in, and evidently a large storm coming in on Saturday or Sunday. And so I'm really looking forward to it because I don't have to water my garden. I don't have to wash my car. And the humidity hopefully will fly away with everything else. It's really an adventure in my life right now. I get to travel all over the world, and I get to talk to people about how they're living and thriving during a pandemic, something for the most part people have not really experienced. I did live in New England, and so I've dealt with blizzards, major blizzards, ice storms. I've dealt with 9/11 like everybody else. But this has taken a different kind of precedence. I think it's allowed people an opportunity to rewind, to reprioritize what they're thinking about in life. And it's delightful to travel all of these countries to find out what everybody's doing. Today, and I'm probably going to pronounce her name wrong, but I believe it's Bracha, Goetz. I could be wrong.
It's good. It's good.
Did I do good? Okay. So I'm really excited to learn about who you are, what you do, and what inspires you to be you. Because in this time period where people are digging really deep and they're having to deal with a silence that they're not accustomed to, this is a great time to be fed with good food. And I mean soul food and mental food and music food and regular food. Turn off the TV. I can't preface that enough. It's horrible, horrible for you. And even social media diets. I love that. Just don't even bother with the social media right now. But you have some wonderful things to offer us today.
Yes, one of the things I really want to offer is many people are overeating because they're stuck at home. It's just people, and here's the question I want to ask. Why do people overeat? I want to ask you, what do you think? Why do people overeat?
Well, I will tell you that we eat a lot of vegetables and fruits in this house, and I cook, but I cook as though somewhere in my genealogy, I'm an Italian grandmother and I'm getting ready to feed the village. I mean, I do. I cook. And it's music, it's lovemaking, it's art, it's creativity, and I love it, but I overcook, and there's only two of us. So that's, I think, why I've gained 15 pounds out of 30 back. So working on it, going back.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to overeat healthy food, though. I think if you're making fruits and vegetables, it kind of, our bodies can speak to us much more authentically when we're, that we've had enough of it. Because, I mean, how can you overeat a zucchini? You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Girl, I make it 5 different ways, and sometimes there's cream sauce.
Okay. I think, like, in general, people tend to overeat junk food. I don't know. That's what I think. It brings like a temporary comfort. The thing is that especially when people are quarantined at home, people are looking for more pleasure in their lives. And the reason that people overeat is because we're looking for not just pleasure, we're looking for lasting pleasure. We want a pleasure that will last. So people keep eating, and that makes the pleasure seem to last. But the truth is, it leaves people kind of feeling miserable afterwards with not such great effects. So what I really want to offer is that concept that we're looking for lasting pleasure. That's what we're really after. How can we get that? The way to get it is to really reach for higher levels of pleasure than the food brings. Food brings the lowest level of pleasure is physical pleasure. And we can get that in many different ways. But one of the most basic ways is food, because food could have been designed to be completely tasteless and have no wonderful aromas. It could have been designed completely bland. But it isn't that way, you know, so it's made for our pleasure. It's really designed for us to have a pleasurable experience. Where did my mic go? Wait a minute. Oh, there we go. So
That whole headset looks like it's bigger than your head.
I think it is. I'm trying to do it the right. Wait, I think that's better.
Now you
Okay.
have bunny ears.
Is that, yeah, that's better. Okay. So here we go. So like, so so there's all kinds of physical pleasures, and that's like the lowest level of pleasure. And that's wonderful. But like for instance, if a person is stuck, whatever addiction a person is stuck on, let's say it's food or something else, like they could first think about the other physical pleasures they could bring into their lives, like music. Um, you know, like let's say a person is just sitting and overeating. If they realize what they're really after is pleasure, and it's the question that they need to ask, the central question is it my body that's hungry or my soul? Because um, people tend to overeat to fill an emptiness inside, not to fill their hungry bodies. You know, we really don't need all that much as a hungry body. We need a certain amount to get on. But when we overeat, it's because we're trying to fill the emptiness inside with food. So what I really want to offer is, if that question can come into the forefront of one's brain, is it my body that's hungry or my soul? Then it frees up our brain to think of other ways that we could bring the pleasure that we're genuinely craving into our lives. So I learned about the pleasure ladder. This is something that I learned from my rabbi, and many people don't know about this. And it's 5 levels on this pleasure ladder, and it corresponds to the 5 levels of the soul, which also is something I learned about. It's really fascinating. So the basic level is physical pleasure, and the second level is love. Now, people don't have to wait around for love, because people can always bring more love into their lives by giving to other people. And like, there are always lonely people that a person can text or call if they feel like overeating, and they can pick up the phone and just start texting someone instead, and suddenly they won't have that desire to finish the bag of potato chips. You know, they will feel elevated in their lives, and they'll have a pleasure in their life that they were really looking for. So that's love is the next level. And the third rung is meaning, to bring more meaningful activities into one's life. The fourth level is creativity, and the highest level is transcendence, which is really connecting, involves connecting with everybody, everything, you know, plants, animals, people, seeing the unity in the universe, and connecting with source energy. So these are the levels, and they connect to the 5 levels of the soul that can bring us, each one brings more lasting levels of pleasure into our life. So I feel if people are just aware of this, then it helps us to be able to climb out from where we're stuck and bring more pleasure into our lives. Yeah.
Bracha, is that your book, Searching for God, in the background?
Yeah, this is my memoir. Yeah.
Can you show it to us so that everybody
Thank you. Yeah, this is my memoir. It's about my search. Here we go. This good?
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, this is my memoir about my whole journey. It's an unusual book, because it's actually a compilation of the diary entries that I kept from age 12 through age 32. Diaries, journals, letters to people. So you see the gradual evolution of developing food addictions or eating disorders, and then how I healed from these things, which is, I think it's kind of like seeing a case study in action, because I didn't know it was happening until the very end of the book. I kind of have an epiphany while I'm putting the whole book together. I realized the thread that was running through my life, and why it made sense that when I found the spiritual nourishment that I was looking for, then there was no longer a need for the food addictions. And I was fascinated by that, and that's what I love to share with people.
Well,
Like,
I think it's really
I
intriguing.
found,
I think it's really intriguing that you've
yes, go ahead.
kept your memoirs, your diaries, your personal effects since you were 12 years old. That's pretty remarkable. Now you're in New York, right?
I'm in Baltimore, but I sound like I'm in New York.
Yeah,
Right.
you do. You do. How, how has the lockdown been for you in Baltimore? Baltimore is a very busy, bustling, loud, noisy place. And for people like me, empathic, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes to go through. There's just so much energy. Um, how has that been for you in that process of staying in your spiritual realm and not overeating and, you know, overcoming whatever fears might populate from the past?
Yes, well, I'm an introvert. I love being home. There's no problem, so I'm having a blast. I feel like I'm on a retreat. I could stay here forever. That's not a problem. I, and I love communicating with people from my own little space. Not everybody's like me. This is really hard for extroverts. I know that it's really hard. And when I go out in the sunshine. I spend time in the garden. It's all wonderful, so I'm either doing yoga or dancing when I feel like moving, so I don't feel trapped in any way here. I'm having a wonderful time. So, yeah, it hasn't been a problem for me. But that's why, I want to reach out to other people because I know that there are many people that feel trapped where they are. Yeah.
So tell me about your title. I think it's really intriguing that you're searching for God in the garbage.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
pretty intense. Like there's coffee grinds and potato peels and all kinds of
Yes.
yummy, delicious, no thank you.
Exactly right. That is the truth. You see, it's a metaphor, but it's also relating to the worst part of my life when I was actually searching through garbage pails for food. And that's what it relates to. That's because I was searching what the metaphor that I come to, the realization at the end of the book, is that I was searching for what still had value that was thrown away. And that's the metaphor for that God has been tossed in the garbage. I think God has become a very pedagogic word. People are hesitate to use that word now. So I sometimes use source energy because I find that many people have barriers up when they speak about God. And so to express it in a more universal way, I just try to speak in a more universal language. But it's true that our spiritual selves have been tossed in the garbage in many ways. And so that's what I feel like I was metaphorically searching for that in the garbage pails, searching for what still had value that had been tossed.
Were you homeless or were you
Yeah. I was not homeless. I was not homeless. I was like really acting very kooky when I was at the worst stage of my addiction, So I was actually in medical school at the time. So,
so that
yeah,
must, all the pressure of medical school plus the pressure of your own internal struggle and then having a food addiction. Yeah, I could see how that would kind of make you a little kooky. That's a lot of pressure.
yeah. Well, it was interesting. I went to visit a psychiatrist when I was there, and the psychiatrist said to me, you think you're really messed up, but I really think that you're looking for something spiritually. It was really funny. That's what the psychiatrist said to me when he met me. He was a Japanese psychiatrist. I was fascinated by his response because I thought I was like doing such bizarre stuff with my addiction. But he was like, I think I couldn't believe that he saw through all the layers and could see that I was really starving spiritually. And that summer I ended up going to Israel and I didn't come back. I was there. I had a 6-week break between my first and second year. I found what I was looking for and I lived there for 10 years. I met my husband there, had my children there, and I didn't come back here for 10 years, basically.
So were you born Jewish?
I was born Jewish, but I didn't understand that Judaism was a spiritual religion. I didn't see it that way at all. And even though I'd gone to like a Hebrew school learning Hebrew, I saw it as a cultural thing, and I did not understand that the deep mystical meanings behind things in Judaism, that was something I knew nothing about. The deeper levels was something I wasn't exposed to, although I was searching for it. Right.
I think that's incredible. And what I love, the largest fact that I love is you were surprised that somebody could see through you. Isn't that, it's almost humbling to think that you're invisible.
Invisible? Well, what do you mean invisible?
No, invisible in the sense where nobody could see through you. All your pain and suffering is invisible to the outside world. You're so protected that you think that that's invisible to people. And
Well, this is the interesting thing. I thought I was a mess. And this psychiatrist was saying to me, actually, he could see my soul. That's what I felt. I feel like he could see deeper in me than even I could at the time. He could see, and that's the interesting part about these 5 levels. The highest level of the soul, no matter what a person has gone through, it stays pure. No matter the abuse a person has suffered, neglect a person has suffered, even as a child, all these levels get, again, garbage dumped on them. Lots and lots of garbage covering up the pure soul from shining. But if we remove those layers of garbage, we still have that pure soul underneath. Nothing can affect that highest level that's connected to source. It stays pure no matter what, and that's how people recover. That's how people can heal and have resilience no matter what has happened to them. And
you know what, I have to tell you, I think you are so adorable. You're just very infectious with your personality, and it's hard for me to think that there was this little girl suffering so deeply, because you're just so beautiful and you're coming across the screen like this rainbow of joy. And so that not only was a lot of work, but a lot of leaping of faith for you, I would imagine.
yes, I mean, the truth is my father was I call him the happiest person I ever knew. And why? He had no expectations in life. He was happy with whatever he got. One of my children's books is called The Happiness Box, is dedicated to him. It's about gratitude, about how to have gratitude, how to instill gratitude in children. But the point is, he was a really happy person, but he didn't believe in God. And I would talk to him about that. He was agnostic. And he said, if I ever see a proof of God, I'd believe it, but I don't believe it. I mean, and I talked about, don't you care? What's the purpose of life? He said, I'm watching life kind of like watching TV. What's going to happen next, But I was so driven to know, what is the purpose of life? I don't know where that came from, but I couldn't believe this was all there was to it, that we get up, we eat, to go to work, to eat another day, to make money, to eat another day, to go to work. I mean, what is that? That can't be it. There's got to be deeper levels to this, So I think the happy part of me was always there, but it did get covered with garbage through the years. So I wasn't feeling happy. I was feeling very miserable, very desperate for nourishment. And that's the interesting part. I did not have a life of abuse or neglect. I had a really loving childhood, and I ended up going on to Harvard. I graduated, I was like nominated Phi Beta Kappa. I was going on to become a psychiatrist. I looked like I had a very, successful life. But inside, I was suffering terribly. I was starving for spiritual nourishment. So I think that I see myself as kind of a case study where if you keep all the controls the same, where I had everything in life and I still wasn't satisfied, what was missing was the spiritual nourishment. Now, there are many other people that have addictions, and they also may have suffered abuse or neglect. So it might not be enough to only fill oneself spiritually. People may also need therapeutic help from therapists and things like that, because there are other things that need to be worked out, because the spiritual nourishment can't even get in when there are blockages, when there are blockages in channels. So we got to clear out the garbage, which, thank God, I didn't have a lot of that garbage in my life, but I didn't have the nourishment that I needed. And so once I got the nourishment, I was able to heal. And that might not be true for other people. They may also need therapeutic assistance. But my belief is that in addition, everybody needs spiritual nourishment because
That's what Living and Thriving is all about. This show's premise is based on 3 tiers: mind, body, and soul. What you put in your mind, what you put in your body, and how you nourish your soul is what you are on this planet.
yes,
And so the balance, you know, it's like a bar stool with three legs. If you
yes,
don't have one quite right, you're going to land on your fanny.
yes, yes, exactly. We forget that we're spiritual beings. And it's easy to forget because we just look like we're physical. We don't see. Oh, that's one of my children's books. It's called The Invisible Book. You see, I wanted to, okay, up here, I wanted to explain to children, I try to write children's books, giving children the spiritual nourishment that I was craving as a child. And what's amazing is that I find that I could write about really deep topics in a very simple, concrete way for children. That's what I love to do. So, for instance, with this book, I talk about the different ways that there are so many things we believe in that are invisible, like gravity, like feelings, like our thoughts, even air. We believe in all these things that are invisible. And electromagnetism, what makes a magnet work, what attracts it, it's an invisible force. So I'm trying to show that, there are things we can't see, even though we look like we're just physical. There are invisible things that really exist. There's a whole nother spiritual level. And this is what I'm teaching children through this book. That's one of the things I like to do. So
I love it. I love it. So, darling, my infectiously beautiful friend, we have to wrap up. And I apologize, but it's every half an hour on the hour for the rest of May. Show us Searching for God in the Garbage. One more time, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And I
And
want
Brescia, yep, go ahead. Where
Listen.
do we find these books if we have interest to inquire?
Right now, since most stores are closed, the best place is on Amazon. So my Amazon author page, Bracha Goetz, Amazon author page has all my 38 books right now. And this one is I Want to Be Famous. Again, it's about a person that wants, a little boy, he wants to be famous, and then he learns to shine the spotlight from within. Instead of always wanting to be in the spotlight, if you shine your spotlight from within, every day can be a day of rejoicing in life. So that's what I want.
Do you have a website?
No, I don't need a website because all my books are right there on my Amazon author page. So Perfect. Everyone could just go there.
All right, my friend. Well, keep smiling, keep shining from the inside, and you are definitely infectious. We need more people that are that bright and joyous. And thank you for sharing your personal story, because it might tickle somebody to do something a little different, or to at least think about what they're doing. And how encouraging is that?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful, Rustie. Thank you.
Welcome, love. You're watching Living and Thriving with Rustie, and I'm Rustie, and that was Bracha. Maybe I said it right this time.
Whoa! Amazing! Wow!
And what do we take away from today? We take away really digging down deep and finding out what fulfills your soul. What's your passion? What sets you on fire? What excites you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? How can you be as infectious as her? Oh my God, you can feel it across the screen. I still have goosebumps. Service is key. I cannot preface enough. Doing for others makes you a better person, makes you a better community player, and it actually feels really good. So in some ways it's kind of selfish because you still get something out of it. Mm-hmm. And routines are really, really important. So every day, get up, get dressed, brush your teeth, do something productive, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed 5 minutes from now. So you might as well have a good time in the time that you were allotted. Know that you're beautiful. Know that I love you. And until next time.